Ashia ana sala ashara akara Isia shukuru shuru shuru Isalashia shara Isani akia nakara Isala shana suru Isala shara suru Isahia shana asapata Isala shara Isaha ashia nakara. Hi everyone, my name is Becc. I am a Sacred Lotus teacher and a psychic channel. This video is being brought to you today by the elemental beings, the light beings of love, elementalness, so our nature and play. They are here with us today because they are an essential, their essence essentially, their energy is very resonant to what we're talking about today, which is kindness. And you might be like, why are we talking about kindness? And I want to explain because it's an important piece of the puzzle. So at the moment, we are, as collective humanity, we are obviously, as many can tell, going through a shift. And it's one of my roles is to keep kind of bringing in the information and the insight that's coming through about what's happening right now. So right now, energetically, we are being called into what I would describe as universal perspective. This means that we begin to really embody, really integrate, really live as a people who remember their oneness, who remember the universal identity that we are. We are absolutely called into and invited into letting go of old identity as a singular race, as a singular being, as a human. We have to remember that we are brothers and sisters. And as a larger collective, as humanity, we have to remember that we have starlight beings around us who are a part of our shared universe. And so this quality of energy, I would call it universal perspective. So one part of that is to firstly be in a vibration of unity. And there are many ways to do that. One way is through actually just practicing that vibration. Another way is to remember the oneness. Another way is to practice universal heart or universal perspective, to actually live from this heart place, but our universal heart, which is its own kind of energy or the ascension of our natural heart chakra. That is really what we're being called into. That's the universal perspective, is to hold our consciousness and even in our love and our light tones in this heart place of cosmic and universal awareness. So part of that, a piece of that, a very important piece that sounds so simple but is essential, is actually kindness. So as a people right now, we have been the opposite of unified with one another. We have had division for a long, long time, and that division is going to intensify a little bit in the coming months, this part of the timeline, because as we are called into shifting into unity consciousness, anything that is not unity consciousness needs to come to the surface to be ultimately brought into awareness, cleansed, transmuted, and purified. This is a challenging thing, and I have notes to the side here as usual if you see me looking here. And my guides were explaining to me, and I just intuitively sense, and I know for us, that our practice needs to be kindness right now with one another in order to even begin to be in universal perspective. We have to do something about this division that we have here. And I know I was thinking in my own life, what can I do to cultivate unity? And this was the teaching of my spirit, was I could be more kind. And then I was being shown and taught about kindness, and that's the result in what we're talking about today. So the thing that's happening in our disunity or division, when we look at that closer, there's an essential problem of judgment. And when we look at that closer, judgment, and the problematic judgment, is when we lean into not just disagreeing with someone or another being's perspective, but we lean into actual pushing away and actual, ultimately, often a hatred. Like, I would call that a hatred. I think that we have numbed out and desensitized to how much hatred each of us actually have inside for things that we are repelled, because we've made hatred so bad and wrong. And that's actually kind of pushed us into a kind of like ignorance about the hatred that we have within, because we've been so afraid of it. But I know for me, I'm going to give this example to clarify, when I am in judgment of somebody and I disagree, and for me right now, and for a lot of us who are watching this video, it's going to be the division and the judgment that I want us to focus on, that we're being called to pay attention to and be very mindful of, is between other light workers that have a different perspective than you about what's happening in our world, and more so though the people who are harming our world or creating and cultivating a disconnect. I think of like the push for forced vaccinations, the hidden agendas in politics, all these different things that really activate and really make us want to fight with one another. Those people, I was thinking, how can I love those people? I knew intuitively I'm called to love those people. And I saw that in my judgment of someone else's perspective that I consider wrong or unhelpful, it goes deeper into judging them for existing, taking away their right to exist, that you shouldn't be, another shouldn't be, or their opinion shouldn't be, but further and deeper, that they shouldn't be, their right to exist, their right to be as an opposite. And that's where we get into trying to change one another. And that's how I know that's like the little expression of that deeper thing that we're doing, of like, this person shouldn't be. We try to change it. But this is the sacred thing, and part of being sacred brothers and sisters is that those that I am in disagreement with, and even those that make me afraid, they actually do have a sacred right to be. And no matter how much I want to fight that, or how much that makes me afraid, I cannot push against that without creating further division and the opposite of the unity and the kindness that I want in our world. And this is a tall order. This is what I mean about humanity right now. The energy is being pushed into embodying and enacting and living from a higher perspective, the one that can contain it all, the part of you, the higher self in you, that can hold it all with love. That may not be you. It's this surrender of, let me be the part of me that can hold it all, that can love everyone. That's what we're called into. It's a grace. And if you have to step into grace to get there, we do that for the sake of our world, for the birthing of the new world that we want to be rooted in. What do we want it to be rooted in? I want it to be rooted in and anchored in unity. I want to really actually practice kindness, and a really good way to do this is literally to sit down, spend some time, and think about the person or people that you really don't like. Maybe don't start with someone that you really hate, someone or something that you really disagree with or you really don't like. And bring some awareness to that. Bring some awareness to what's going on for you when you're in that perspective. What are you believing about that other person, about yourself, about the world? What are you thinking? Bridge the gap with what we could call compassion. I just wrote a relatedness. So if I look at someone who is harming our planet and I feel disconnected from them and disconnected from, and I'm just in the anger and all of that, what can I do? I can think about the way that I have been disconnected from the planet as well once before. I was asleep before. I have been unkind. I have been hurtful. I have been intentionally hurtful to people. I have been intentionally disregarding of the earth and our mother. And deeper than that, I have felt lost and disconnected from spirit, and in desperation, I have done things and said things that were disconnected and harmful. And I didn't even know what I was doing, and I was just focused on what I wanted to get. That is a truth that is actually real for every single human. I don't think that there's a human that's alive today that hasn't done that once. Okay, so when I see others doing that and acting like that, I need to reach deeper into myself, reach deeper into I have been unfair, I have been arrogant, I have been judgmental, I have forced others to do things they didn't want to do. And it's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge because right now in these situations that we're facing and will be facing, our survival instincts are being activated. And when that comes up, it is much more challenging. That's why we should do a practice of this within yourself when you're not like out and about or interacting with someone, so that you can have a practice frequency of kindness within yourself. So because kindness is the sacred, my guides are telling me now, or I'm channeling that, kindness is the sacred right of every being to be here, to be now, to be a part of this play that we are all a part of. There is something cruel and an error and a wrong about us being cruel and pushing away and repelling one another. This is a deeply distorted and disturbed way of actually conducting yourself in the universe. That's the kind of tone or energy I'm trying to explain. And we're so used to it, we don't really see how deeply distortive it is. And we do it to ourselves as well. So another way that you can cultivate kindness is to be kind to yourself. Notice where you are harsh with yourself. Think about the things in your life that you feel you did wrong and where you're still judging yourself for that. And this is where there is a deeper invitation, an extension of self-kindness is self-forgiveness. And to just say, I did this, I acknowledge this, this is here, and I choose to forgive myself. Even if you don't know how, even if it feels uncomfortable. The loving intention of that centered and rooted kindness towards yourself. That one day may I forgive myself. One day may I forgive those around me who would do me harm. That is the kindness that you can bring. If that's your authenticity, if that's your truth in that moment, let it be that. Behind all of our kindness, we want there to be, and what makes it easier to be kind, the root of it, is that we are all the one breath of life. We are all a sacred being that is here to play and unfold something. We are all a part of the one song, and that is what I was talking about at the beginning of unity. In order for unity and this utopia to really happen in our world, we have to step up. We have to step up in our love. We have to love the things and the people that we hate. And I cannot do that if I am being judgmental. I cannot do that if in my judgment it's not a neutral disagreement. It's not a neutral, this isn't the way that I want to conduct myself, this isn't the way that I want our world or politics to be. It is a push against and a fight, and this shouldn't be happening, and you as a person shouldn't be happening. When you fall into that energy, I ask us, each of us and myself, to bring us back into a kindness that is rooted in being the one breath of life. If this person is life and I am life, what can I do here to bring the light that I'm trying to bring through my judgment and behind and beneath all my fear? And I believe that that is acceptance, that is calling on the part of us that is higher, that can wrap its loving arms around those people and those beings that you do not like, and wrap its loving arms around any fears that you have around that. So kindness seems very simple, but it's actually very deep, very healing, and it is the medicine of what we need right now. And there is a very helpful bridge of compassion that we can create to help us be kind. Kindness does not mean that we don't say no. It doesn't mean that we don't honor boundaries. It doesn't mean that we can't disagree with one another. But we continuously look for the oneness and the unity and the way that we can unify in this moment of discord and conflict. How can I find the light? How can I unify? Even if the other person is not receptive to that, it doesn't matter, it's energy. How can I do that with myself? If somebody is yelling at you or forcing you or doing something like that, how can I be light in this moment? How can I be love in this moment? How can I remember that this person is a sacred human, a luminous being of light? And still, as I said, say no, respond, do whatever you need to do. We must take away their cruelty. We must soften when there's harshness. We must affirm ourselves in kindness. There can be a firmness within the kindness that is still a softness. I'm going to check the notes here. And I guess behind it all, if you cannot be kind to yourself or someone else or what's happening in your life, calling on your spirit to help you to be kind to the part of you that can't be kind, that can't be compassionate. Be compassionate and forgiving to the part of you that's struggling to do that. And be honoring of your sacred will and intention behind all of it to actually succeed one day at doing that. In this way, you open yourself into the truth of who you are in every moment. And you can only be calling and bringing in more light. And as I said, this is our antidote to division that is occurring in our world right now and may get a little stronger in the future. It is to still have your different perspectives and different position, but see it all from that universal perspective that we have to step into at this time. This point in the timeline, we are called into that higher consciousness that we wanted to live with, we wanted to live in. We have all been sitting around saying, I really want 5D, I really want to be like the Pleiadians that are just peaceful and oneness and all of that. Now is the time to realize that this is bigger than just me and just step into that. And it's not going to be that easy. It is about really challenging ourselves to be in our God perspective, the God force that you are, that all life is. Again and again, when you fall out of range of it, bringing yourself back in, practicing that frequency. This sounds, I know what I'm saying sounds so hard, and I want to like reaffirm and reassure that when you actually give yourself the time to practice it within yourself, and also to practice connecting to that unifying heart, the universal heart in yourself, it actually gets easier and it becomes more natural in an authentic way. So we want to take responsibility for that and cultivate that frequency, and that's in part why I made the unity meditation that I did before this video, because that is a way to practice a particular frequency. It is a frame and a giving of that frequency to you through the light language codes and light that is in that channeled meditation, so that you can begin to resonate at it a little easier and a little easier. But also the kindness that you practice in yourself is going to shine into the rest of your relationship with life. And the more that we connect to our heart, the more that we naturally evolve into the universal heart. It's all interconnected, and there are all these little things and big things that we can do to keep building this unity. We are unity consciousness. We choose unity. And in order to choose unity for our future, we have to choose unity. We have to choose it now. And I choose it. And I hope that you will join me.